Hello and welcome to your review of the week, a roundup of the top stories on KMTV over the last 7 days. A pensioner who was 86 at the time saw off 2 would-be armed robbers from his home with a single punch. The 2 teenagers, one of whom was armed with a knife, have now been jailed. Our reporter Sam Lennon spoke to Kenneth Brown.
They were banging on that front door.
Okay.
On the glass.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started 1 or 2 questions and that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, we want all your, well, I better not say it.
Money.
Yeah, but they said the other word, the word before began with an F. I just went and whacked him.
And what part of the body did you hit him on?
In the chest.
And did he fall over?
No. He went backwards.
Yeah.
And then they went sharp. The police turned around and I said I wouldn't do anything else because in case they had me for it. They said no, there was no way. I was protecting myself.
Operation Stack had to be put in place on the M20 for 2 days this week after a strike by French ferry workers led to travel chaos. Eurostar and Eurotunnel trains were also suspended when protesters got onto the tracks. Border security at Dover and Calais has been stepped up after hundreds of migrants tried to get on lorries waiting to get to Britain. A Kent MP has condemned prisons on the Isle of Sheppey, saying they're a penal powder keg that could explode if action isn't taken. Jim Collins has the details.
Yes, Gordon Henderson raised concerns about intimidation and violence, illicitly brewed alcohol, drugs and legal highs being on the up here in the Sheppey prisons and the prevalence of gang culture. He also, at a Commons debate, said that he was concerned about prison officers' welfare and said that there were specific problems here in Sheppey about recruiting and retaining staff. Perhaps most notably, though, was his comments about here being like a penal powder pot that was liable to explode at any time if action wasn't taken. The Undersecretary of State for Justice, however, did say they were looking into the welfare of prison officers and they would take Mr Henderson's comments on board.
In other news, a woman in her 70s has died following a crash involving a car and lorry on Romney Marsh. Emergency crews, including the air ambulance, were called to the A2070 at Brenzett on Wednesday afternoon. Another woman in her 60s who was also in the car was flown to hospital. A young woman whose body was found in the River Medway in Tunbridge on Monday has been named locally as 20-year-old Shannon Killick. Her death's not being treated as suspicious. And just 6 weeks after making a desperate plea for help, Britain's heaviest man has been found dead at his home in Kent. 33-year-old Carl Thompson, who weighed 65 stone, was discovered at the flat in Dover last weekend. A Kent girl born with just one hand is celebrating after being given a prosthetic hand which was designed and built by her friends as part of a school project. Graham Stothard reports.
A little while ago, Lara only had one hand. Today, though, using a new 3D printed plastic one designed especially for her, she's arm wrestling a man more than twice her age. But it's not just picking stuff up and arm wrestling she can do. She can play the trumpet, tennis and ride a bike.
I got used to it quite quickly and it was quite good because if I get my hands out and there are lots of bags on the table, I have 2 hands. As before, I would have had to put them over my elbows, done that kind of stuff, but now I can actually pick up the bags.
It was after seeing someone with a similar hand on TV that she was inspired to get her own. Since then, she hasn't looked back.
I wanted one and I was watching the news because a girl named Hayley, she was 5, had one of these and it just really interested me.
More than 200 of her classmates designed and built 50 hands for children in need, including Lara, in conjunction with tech company Techie Lab. Her mother is amazed at how quickly she's taken to using the new limb.
I love the fact that she is so confident wearing a new hand. It's great. She walks around with her left hand sticking out of her jacket and that looks lovely.
A fairly simple device now. Who's to say what Lara's hand could be capable of in a few years' time? Certainly not merely beating me at arm wrestling. This is Graham Stothard for KMTV in Tunbridge.
Congrats.
It's been revealed Kent's War and Peace revival will be held for the last time this summer, after running for more than 30 years. The two main organisers have made the announcement as one of them prepares to retire. The military show is expected to see around 100,000 people and over 4,000 vehicles at the final event in Folkestone next month. And finally, a special licence has been given to a Maidstone school so they can put on a production that features a live pig in its cast. Graham Stothard went to meet the performers.
Meet Betty the Pig, the biggest player in the pig acting game since Babe. Alongside her pal and understudy Hetty, she's hoping to be wowing crowds come mid-July.
To oink or not to oink, that is the question. Hamlet, of course, but not the character these little porkers will be playing. They'll be trotting the boards in Maidstone Valley Park School's production of Betty Blue Eyes.
But it's not natural talent that has seen these sows able to perform, rather perseverance and a steady stream of treats.
Well, we've trained them with rich tea biscuits mainly, but we use other biscuits. And we've taught them how to run and sit by placing the biscuit either in front of them or kind of where they can see it so they know where they're going.
But by no means does that ensure it'll all go to plan.
I've got a scene with the pig where it's a solo song, and it's basically me and the pig. I'm just afraid the pig's going to move because it has to be still, especially when I'm holding a knife next to it, so I'm afraid it's going to, I don't know, go crazy.
The comedy musical is set in a post-war Britain. A pig is raised illegally to feed local dignitaries, and hilarity ensues. Obviously not familiar with the acting phrase never work with children or animals, this director has enjoyed tackling the project.
Working with live animals is a big challenge. We've been through a process to get these pigs registered to perform, so we have a licence granted by the council. And obviously getting the young people and the animals working together has been the biggest challenge.
As for whether Betty will behave on the night, remains to be seen. This is Graham Stothard for KMTV in Maidstone.
There's more local news on KMFM and you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, but that's it from KMTV.